for me, be brutally honest, I'm waiting to see who the leaders on this team are. The best players that we've been told are the best players so far have underperformed. I won't say names. I won't talk about that. They know who they are. Who are you? If you're making a bunch of money in this league, if you're being paid one of the highest paid players in the Broncos, then step up and start stepping up and demanding that everybody around you steps up. And then when you get a chance to make a play, you make that play. Therefore, your voice of saying step up is not going unheard. And there's multiple guys on this team that can do it. I'm waiting to see who that is. So there's a reason other than Bo Nix to turn the TV on and watch the Broncos, or to go to a game and go, man, these guys got some vibrations going. These guys have some players that I'm waiting to see so-and-so and so-and-so because they're making plays. Like, who are you? When are you going to step up? When are we going to have some other players step up so it's not all Bo Nix, Bo Nix, Bo Nix?
Hello, and thank you for joining us here on Broncos and Bourbon. I am your host, Phil Milani. Very excited about today's episode. Broncos great Jake Plummer joins me on the program, and as you can imagine, we get into all things Bo Nix. And Jake has some great perspective here because he started as a rookie quarterback about midway through his rookie season with the Arizona Cardinals. His first start, week 8. Let me just read you some of these stats coming against Tennessee. 2 touchdowns, pretty good. 4 interceptions, 6 sacks. So everybody goes through some growing pains as a quarterback in the NFL. So we get into a lot of different things. How can Sean Payton put Bo Nix into some better positions to succeed? Do you think that if things aren't going well for Bo Nix, should he be benched? Should he be pulled out of the game to help him not develop some bad habits out there? So we get into all kinds of different things. Jake has some really great perspective. He's lived it, and it was great to catch up with Jake Plummer. For our nightcap, we go into Larceny Small Batch 92. This is an interesting bourbon. It's out of Heaven Hill Distillery, and the reason I picked it is because it's a weeded bourbon. So we'll talk about what that means and why this is a very approachable bourbon if you're just getting into drinking some whiskey here. So very excited about today's episode. I hope that you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content that we're bringing to you each and every week. And with that, here's my interview with Broncos great Jake Plummer. Jake, thank you for taking some time to join us here on the program. How you been?
I'm doing well. You know, it's fall. I love fall. I wonder why, right? It's a good time of the year for me. It was always football season, and these evenings are amazing where the sun, it's warm and the cool air is coming in, and there's just this, like, for me, I remember being a kid just wanting to be outside till that light goes away because it's fleeting and winter's coming. So things are good though.
Yeah, awesome. And what's the latest with the mushroom business?
We're moving along, man. We're just doing it. It's still an educational process, but more and more people are, finding out and reading and coming to some information that there's a lot of things that these beautiful organisms can help you with. And so we're growing steady and reaching the right people at this moment. And yeah, I continue to have a blast doing it, and I keep learning stuff every day, and the farm's doing well, and it's fun. Things are good, man. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on all the success there. Let's dive in about this Broncos team a little bit. Jake, what are your thoughts on how Bo Nix has looked these first couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he's looked like a rookie. And he's looks like a kid that's got a lot of talent, tons of arm talent, is mobile. From what I can see from a distance, is a leader that guys appreciate his style and what he's doing and how he goes about his daily business and getting the job done. And that's really important. I think we can dive into that later. But I mean, if you're a quarterback, you've got to have the guys around you believing and confident in what you're doing, whether you're doing it really well or whether you're doing it at the top level and the best in the league, whatever it is. If you're consistent and getting after it, I see him playing like a rookie. He's making throws that were probably good in practice because it's not as fast, and now they're getting to be interceptions. And he's going to learn. There's just that little fine line you have that you gotta teeter on it, push it sometimes to learn your limitations, but just take better care of the ball, and he will by throwing those interceptions. And this kind of sucks. He's got to throw those in order to know, oh yeah, don't be drifting backwards and throw a ball into the red zone unless I know that it's going to be, but I made those mistakes even year 8. It's just part of being a gunslinger and a football player and going out there and competing. And I think he'll be okay. I think the team's going to grow around him. The coaches are going to keep changing and moving things in the right direction that suit him well. At least I hope so. Put him in positions to succeed. But I can tell you one thing: the team needs to step up around him. I mean, I see some guys doing it, but I think an overall ramp up from everybody. Let's go. Who's the leaders? Who are our enigmatic tone setters? Time to start stepping up and voicing that and stepping up and stepping up behind those words and showing up. So all in all, he's doing all right. What I expect.
Tough to see some of those drops. The offensive line, definitely some issues there. And then now Mike McGlinchey going to IR. Let me ask you this, Jake. For a rookie quarterback, how important is confidence out there?
It's huge. I mean, it's hard when you're throwing interceptions and people are talking about them constantly, and that you can do better. I think it's just part of the process for him. These kids come out so well prepared these days. They don't get to choose what system they get to go be a part of. And I know that Coach Payton is a real high level, smart coach that can do a lot of great things offensively, which means that it's probably a little bit complicated to some degree, because you don't have a lethal offense if you're just running 4 plays. You got to have a wide array of sets and formations and multiple concepts that you're working with. So it takes a little time, and confidence comes from, focusing more on the good things you're doing, learning from the bad things, but letting them go. Short memory, young man, short memory, let them go. There's nothing you can do about the interception in the red zone once you've made that play. Move on and get ready to make the next play. And I see that from him. I see him coming out, not showing signs of oh, poor, pitiful me. Oh no, the city's going to be down on me now. He knows this isn't just a one-hit wonder. I'm going to try for 1 year and go away. His goal and dream has been to make it here. Now he's here. Now the real work begins.
It's got to be hard, though. You throw an interception there in the red zone, you don't feel like maybe you let your teammates down, that kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. You got to bounce back. Is the thing that you're worried about, though, with any rookie quarterback is developing some bad habits?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, there's under such scrutiny right now. I mean, if he's starting to throw multiple interceptions in the red zone, you just don't want him. The worst thing is to get gun shy. I love seeing him trying to make those plays personally. There wasn't a play in the league that I didn't try to make. Some of them ended up in interceptions. Uh-huh. That's part of it. Those dudes across the ball are professionals also. They're the best of the best in the world. So you're going to make some mistakes. Now, situationally, conceptually, calling the right plays, getting a good running game, there's ways to support that so that it's not always on him. But at some point, yeah, you got to pull the trigger. You have to throw the 3rd and 12 and the 3rd and 15, and you got to make those plays. We can't throw a crossing route at 3 yards trying to get 15 every time it's 3rd and 15. At some point, you got to run a deep dig and fit it in over the linebacker's head and in front of the safety and out of reach of that DB. And that, we see other quarterbacks doing that, and that's just part of this process. And it's gonna take a little bit of time, but I think, for him, it's obviously we're going to be hyper focused on him all the time. Why? Because we see something in him. We see ooh, man, that first game they were down. He kept fighting. He was crafty on that pump fake spin move touchdown. They were one play away. If that guy doesn't make a miraculous one-hand catch, they get a chance to get the ball back. Do they win? I don't know. But those are the situations we want to see him in. I want to see him in the rest of this season. I want to see every game left, him have the ball in his hand with 1:50 and 3 points, 5 points, 6 points needing to be scored. And that's where he's going to get that confidence. That's where he's going to get the teammates to believe in him. And that'll happen, hopefully. I mean, and if it doesn't, then hey, that's where you got to wait and see, right? But I'm an optimist, so I believe that he'll make those plays and make something happen eventually with the right coaching.
You mentioned the coaching there a little bit, Jake. What kind of things can Sean Payton do to put him in? Maybe, like you mentioned, like it's such a complicated offense. Is there a way to make this thing a little bit simpler? Like one idea I had was like the bootleg. Like just eliminating half the field and then just going out there and making a play. You would know that better than anybody else.
Great idea, Phil. I mean, that's awesome. But you better have a hardcore downhill running game to complement that. No one's biting on a fake if you aren't get gashing them for 5, for 6, for 10 consistently. So, I was really good booting out. It was one of my fortes. That I loved it. It was my favorite thing. If we weren't running the ball well, it was hard. Those guys, those DNs aren't crashing. The linebackers aren't flowing to the ball because it's a downhill run. They know, oh, we can stop these guys with 5, 6 in the box. They're not running the ball. So there's balance there. You got to find that balance. You got to, for me, be brutally honest, I'm waiting to see who the leaders on this team are. The best players that we've been told are the best players so far have underperformed. I won't say names. I won't talk about that. They know who they are. Who are you? If you're making a bunch of money in this league, if you're being paid one of the highest paid players in the Broncos, then step up. And start stepping up and demanding that everybody around you steps up. And then when you get a chance to make a play, you make that play. Therefore, your voice of saying step up is not going unheard. And there's multiple guys on this team that can do it. I'm waiting to see who that is. So there's a reason other than Bo Nix to turn the TV on and watch the Broncos, or to go to a game and go, man, these guys got some vibrations going. These guys have some players that I'm waiting to see so-and-so and so-and-so because they're making plays. Like, who are you? When are you going to step up? When are we going to have some other players step up so it's not all Bo Nix, Bo Nix, Bo Nix, we're 0-2, Bo Nix. No, Bo's doing the best he can. The rest of these guys, they need to step up. And those are said behind closed doors when you're in a team. But in the public, we can sit and analyze Bo's play, but we can also look at some other guys and say, yo, come on, let's step up to your level of what we're supposed to be believing that you are at, as the pay you're getting, but also what you've been putting out there as, I'm this, I'm that. Well, let's see it. I want to see it. And I played with some great players that, that's what they did. Rod Smith, if he was going to say, I'm going to go do this, let's pick it up, he'd go make that catch on 3rd and 10 when I threw a shitty ball. He'd go back and get it and make me look good, and we'd get a first down. He would step up to that. So I'm waiting for that. I know it can happen, and it's not something you can force. You can't go out like, oh, but you can just, all of you, like, get that focus and get that desire to, like, do better for the guy next to you, do better for the guy over here, do better for Bo, make the job easier for him.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 0-2, you got to look inward, right? You got to be,
Yep.
You got to say, hey, how can we do this together as a team? I did have just a couple more on Bo though for you, Jake.
Sure.
Sorry, just for I'm interested in your philosophy a little bit, just on rookie quarterbacks playing, being out, in the game versus developing in practice. You like seeing Bo out there playing as a rookie?
Yeah, there's really no way to learn until you go step into the fire and go do it. I mentioned earlier these kids coming out, these young men coming out of college. Their IQ and football IQ is way more advanced than it was when I came out. I knew quite a bit about football, but not at the level that you needed for the NFL. So it was a learning process for me to understand that these defenses now can throw multiple defensive sets at you and blitz from all angles and different looks and show you a look. And you're like, oh yeah, here they come. And then they're coming from somewhere else. So it's such a chess game that, these kids come out with a lot of that already, understanding a lot of those things. Now it's just a matter of, can you go out and run the play that the coach calls? 70% of the time it's going to go as planned, right? Maybe it's an incompletion or not, but the play is going to go as it is. Those other 30%, Mark Trestman told me those numbers, they may have changed, but like those 30 to 40% where the play breaks down, Now, how do you respond to that? Are you getting some positive yardage? Are you throwing the ball away, saving the next down? Are you rolling out and making a play, right? So there's that's a huge part of it for a rookie. When I came in, I was a rookie who started halfway through my rookie year. I sat for 7 games, but then I went in and now all of a sudden I'm the starter. I was not prepared like this. I was swimming in the defenses and the protections and all the things you got to do. But I was able to react and make plays. And that was part of, what I did throughout my whole career was I could run a play, but if it broke down, I might make an amazing play most of the time. Sometimes I'm going to throw a pick. Sorry.
Yeah, part of it.
But for Bo, it's like he's a rookie, but he's also like, he's been on a couple different teams in college. So he knows how to like get to know his teammates. That's not going to be a problem. If he's legit, he's genuine, he's authentic, he's consistent, and he's putting in the work, guys are going to see that. And then that in turn, whether he's a rookie or not, that's what you want from your main guy back there calling the plays and also, taking all the praise and taking most of the blame. So rookie or not, I believe there's different ways. We've seen other guys that have sat and gone on and had phenomenal careers. We've seen someone who came through here, his rookie year wasn't the greatest, Peyton Manning. I mean, he didn't come in and just start lighting the league up. It was, he had to get to that point. So, it's something that's going to be a work in our patience as fans, especially with the lack of being in the playoffs for so many years. A lot of people are really anxious and like want to see that happen. Steel yourself. It may not be this year, but if you're patient, you may see something really beautiful happen. Because I believe watching him that he's got all the talent and everything you need. Now it's just a matter of those opportunities happening and him making those plays and they win a couple games here and there. And now all of a sudden, Bo is the answer.
Do you remember your first start, Jake?
Oh yeah. It was the Houston or the Tennessee Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were the Oilers still. They still had the Oilers, and McNair was the other quarterback, and played him at Tempe in Sun Devil Stadium. And of course, my rookie year, my first action was the week before against Philadelphia in Veterans Stadium, and we got the ball on the 2-yard line. I went in to start the second half, and I walked into the huddle and said, "Let's take this, 98 yards. Who's with me?" And they all, they perked up. And what did we do? We took it and scored 98 yards. Could I have written that script any better? No way. I didn't know that would happen, but it did. And that's how I earned the respect, is I came in, said something, and then we did it. And it wasn't just me, it was collectively. So that first start was horrible for me. I threw 4 picks. I threw a couple balls to guys I thought that were hot from the blitz, but they were actually blitzing from the other side, so they weren't my hot receiver, which means like the guy who's going to look real quick to give me an outlet. I was bad. I threw into double coverage. I threw into cover 2, into the flat. Like, it was bad. I played horribly. But I didn't stop. I came out every time and approached it as if I hadn't done that. And I went at it as if we still can win this game, even if I have done so bad these first little bit. Let's still come to that. And that's where I'm not down there on the bench where the linemen and the quarterbacks sit during a game. I don't get to see him Monday going into the weight room and how he interacts with his players and with his guys. But that's where you foster that as a quarterback. You got to be consistent. You got to keep showing up. And then when those opportunities come, eventually you start making those plays and you start turning the kind of like on the fence people into believers rather than doubters.
If you were struggling out there, it sounds like you had the mindset of like, okay, I'm still going to let this thing rip. But if you were struggling out there and the coach came over and said, hey, maybe today's not your day, we're going to make a change, bench you, how would you have reacted to that? Like, would that have been like, okay, I just need like sort of a reset here mentally? Or would that have crushed your confidence? I'm just curious, like if it just wasn't going well, what would that have done for you?
It was more of a internally going, God dang it, I can do better. I know I can do this. I've done it. Why am I not doing it today? It happened. There were a few times I was pulled because, in Arizona, we lost a lot of games and some of them were my fault. I wasn't playing well. And, I had a lot of comebacks, but we were losing a lot of games. So, my comebacks were because I never gave up. And so people, my teammates saw that, but at some point, coaches were ready to like, hey, let's get him out of there. This game's out of reach. Let's not let him take the beating any longer. It was always very frustrating. First and foremost, mad at myself. Like, what can I do better? What am I not doing right? And then having coaches I could trust and go talk to behind closed doors and like say, hey man, help me. What do I need to do? What is it? And having veterans also, like Frank Sanders down in Arizona. He was like my slot receiver / psychologist, like I talk to him all the time. Help me out. Same in Denver. I had Rod Smith. I had a guy I could go talk to, and like I had great coaches that were there to listen, but also to give me stuff and tell me the hard things that I didn't want to hear. The things that I might need to work on that I felt like, why are you telling me that? I wouldn't get mad. It'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. I need to get better at that. I mean, there's so many things to take care of when you're playing at a professional level, let alone being a quarterback. There's just so many things, not even talking about what's happening outside of the building in Bo's personal life. We don't know that even, there's so much going on. So yeah, it's having the guys around you. It's having the people that you need to have that believe in you, stay believing in you. And that's inside that building. Yeah. The rest of this mass of people outside of that building, you have to let it go. Do not give any care about what they're thinking, what they're saying, how they're pontificating or analyzing or tearing you. Shut it all out. Bo, you're supposed to be here. You're here. Believe in the guys around you. Tell them you'll do better, and then do better. And then you build that trust, you build that respect, and then you can call out guys or like demand that they step it up too. Like once you could get there. And so it's going to happen, but it's all inside that building. And I believe everyone there believes in him. And so that's good. That's a good environment for him. Now, if he gets pulled, if he's playing bad and he sits, hey, it's a wake up. It's like, yep, I can play better. All right. Yeah. Time to work harder. What can I do? What can I work on? What skill can I do? And maybe it's something as simple as throwing after practice and just not having a coach there to just throw some routes, just rip the ball and get it out. But whatever that is, he's got to find those little things, those remedies, those little extra things he can do to just stay on the course, man.
Yeah, tough to figure the deal out for sure.
Everybody's different, man. That's the thing. Everyone approaches things differently and reacts differently. So, like I said, I don't know Bo that well, but from what I see, he's not scared. He's going to compete, and that's what you want. John Elway told me that. If you just go compete and you keep competing and you keep fighting and you keep doing it, this town will love you. They will revel you, and like he was right. So just keep fighting, keep going. And if they bench you and you don't start, still keep fighting, work even harder.
I was going to ask you that, playing quarterback in this town, there's a lot of eyeballs on you. Obviously, John Elway, Peyton Manning. Two questions. Do you think Bo should reach out to those guys and try and work with them? And did you do that when you first got to Denver?
Not really. I mean, I remember talking to John, him just congratulating me and giving me that bit of advice of just go play hard, man. Just play hard. It's not always going to be perfect, but if you show them your heart and soul and you play hard, they're going to end up loving you. They'll forget the bad and they'll remember the good. And he was right. And I mean, he played here a long, long time. I would have loved to have played here for more years, not longer career, but maybe get here sooner in my career. But I never really reached out to a lot of like former quarterbacks to ask them, for advice. I mean, I think every situation is different. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable giving Bo a lot of advice unless I was to go sit and analyze his game, understand their offense, their philosophy, and then, get back diving into the game, which has changed a little bit, with the RPOs and a lot of the route combinations and the way they do things. It's different. It's not like a West Coast system that I was groomed in and had to learn and get real comfortable in before I started, thriving in that system. So I never really cared that John Elway was here other than right on, man. I got to come in and play where John Elway played. This is awesome. They've won Super Bowls. Sweet. I got a chance to win a Super Bowl because this team and this organization knows how to do it. And if I can help get there, I'm so glad to be here. I'm not trying to be better than John. How could I play 16 years and win 2 Super Bowls? Impossible. I'm going to be here for the time I'm here, do the best I can, and hopefully we get a chance. And that's how I approached it. Now you got Peyton Manning who came in here too. So you got two just amazing, two of the best that ever did it. You're going to have fans that are going to be wanting to like bring that up. There's no players in the locker room like, man, I wish you played more like Peyton. Like, that's not happening, man. I mean, Peyton was one of a kind, right? And so the chance that he has here is just to keep growing, keep learning, keep working, and really trust in your teammates. Find out who those guys are. Find out who the guys are that you can go over and say, hey, I need you to talk to the team right now. They're sick of hearing me. That was my Rod Smith. Hey, Rod, dude, these guys, they're flat. My linemen suck today, practice. You got to help me. And he'd go in there and like chew their asses and tell them what's up and say, let's go, so that it wasn't always me, because I had so much I was already going through. And yeah, it's, but every situation is so different. Everything is so different. He's in a new city. He's now an NFL player. He's getting phone calls from people from junior high and like cousins that he didn't know he had. I mean, it's true, the things you had to deal with. And so hopefully his people around him are helping cushion that. And it seems like he's been raised right to respect people and treat people right. And I mean, I believe in that. It all comes back full circle. So if we don't get to see it tomorrow, the next week or the week after, at some point we're going to see the brilliance in Bo Nix, and that's going to be fun. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, a lot of people around here are super excited, hoping that he eventually, grows into that role and becomes a franchise guy. Jake, one of the things that you were able to do in Arizona was turn that program around. Hadn't had a winning season since moving to Arizona. You go in there, play half your rookie season. The next year, you guys go to the playoffs. What does it take to just change that mindset? Because I think it's easy to slip into that, hey, the Broncos have had 8 losing seasons in a row here. They start this season 0-2. Here we go again. I'm checking out. But how do you change that mentality, that mindset?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it's one, believing that you have the pieces in place and believing in the guys around you. And then I always say work, and it's such a weird thing to say, but it's putting in that time. It's putting in that extra effort. And what I did after that rookie season, I went and started training with a lot of my guys, and it was hot in Arizona, and they didn't want to be there every day training, and I didn't want to either, but I knew we had to. And so I would challenge them, hey, why am I beating you in this drill? I'm a quarterback. You're our starting receiver. You should be beating me in this drill. Do you care about what we're doing? And then it pissed them off. And sometimes some of them didn't like me that much. But it was like, I only had one gear. And it didn't matter if it was the game or practice. I'm going that gear. And so you got to have that mentality, but then you got to have guys that start stepping onto that same mentality. And you got to take the coaches almost out of demanding better play. And it comes from internally, those 52 guys going, yo, we're better than this, man. We're paid professionals. Like, why am I here and we're not doing well? And then I am a free agent and I go to Kansas City and now we're winning. It's a mindset. It's just believing. And it's like trusting in the guy next to you and doing it for the guy next to you. And really eliminating any of the excess. Sometimes the coaches don't even believe that you can win, right? I mean, I've felt that numerous times where it's like, oh, and we as players, we know that. And so we go in and we talk about it. We say, all right, let's go. Let's do this. And Arizona was a great example. I mean, 98 wasn't an easy year. We won the last 4 games. We were dubbed the cardiac cards. We were down in all 4 games, and we came back against all odds and won the game. And what was that from? It was from everybody believing. And me doing it a few times before and them saying, hey, get the ball to Jake. If he gets it, he somehow makes something happen. But it wasn't just me. It was other guys knowing and now believing. And so it's got to be in that locker room. You really got to have that locker room believing no matter what that we can do it. Because 98, yeah, we beat the Dallas Cowboys for the first playoff victory in 50 years. That's 50 years, Phil. Like I tell people I won a Super Bowl, but it wasn't actually a Super Bowl, but it was about the same odds. Like we won a game for the Cardinals and it was monumental. That season, the vote passed for the stadium. They're still in Arizona because of that year in 98 solely. And I own up and I will stand true to that belief that, like, if we don't win that year, there's a chance that team moves to LA. And so it was great. We had great leaders, great players, veterans that knew how to get the work done. They knew how to have fun too, man. We had a lot of fun outside of our work days. But yeah, that was just the start. I mean, we struggled thereafter for 4 years, but man, having that 1 year was really remarkable. And you never know when that's going to happen. But it has to happen by just these guys continuing to take ownership of the locker room, take ownership of your position. If you're the starting middle linebacker, then you have a level of accountability that you hold the rest of the guys in that room to. And if they don't step up and live by that and what you guys believe in, then you have your own internal ways of dealing with it. You don't go to your coach, you don't go to the media, you handle it internally so that, like, you don't understand that you care about this. There's got to be some part of you that cares more about winning than it does about posting on social that you're wearing number whatever for the Broncos. Like, it's not about that. It's about winning and leaving a mark here for this time being to, like, hey, let's reverse this. 8 years or 10 years without a playoff appearance for the Broncos.
9 years, no playoffs, 8 losing seasons.
I mean, let's go. Let's remember. Let's do this. Like, it can happen. And it just got to start by the team not listening to anybody else, but believing in themselves and witnessing each other do the work and put in the time and do whatever it takes to make that one little, like, ooh, boom, we're going to see it happen soon, where there's going to be a game and it's like, that game was different. They lost, but there was something different there. And hopefully we'll see that. And that's going to have to be the leaders stepping up. We know who they are. We know the numbers they wear. They're supposedly the best, some of the best in the game. Let's see you start doing it. Let's see you stop getting penalties and start making big plays.
Yeah, no, I love
it's
it.
Hard.
You got me fired up here, Jake. I'm interested in you personally. Like, when I'm around you, you're such a calm, like, collected, cool dude. But you do have this side to you that gets fired up.
Yeah.
How do you get to that spot? Like, like, does something change when you get in that locker room?
If there's something I'm passionate about, you'll see that come out. And when I played ball, it was fun. I loved playing football. I loved the fear of it that I had. Like, I respected it because it's a violent game, and at any moment you could have an injury that could end your career and hurt like hell, or you could play bad and risk getting benched. And then I loved it. I just loved the challenge of it. And at that time in my life, it was exactly what I needed. Coming out of that whole thing and that being at the top of your game. And I always try to remind the guys, former players that, have struggles. A lot of them have a lot of struggles. Like, hey, remember and really remember this, and do not forget it again, that you were one of the best in the entire world. Mm-hmm. Right now, Bo Nix is one of the 32 best in the entire world. Whether there are backups that could do a better job or not, it doesn't matter. He's one of the best in the entire world. So unless you're an expert and have been there, you really don't have a right to have any opinion about what he needs to do better or do tomorrow or work on for his game. There are only certain handful of people, like, go talk to Peyton Manning. He probably has a good idea what this kid needs to do,
That's
Peyton
why I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like I'm not the all-knowing, but what I know is what I've lived and I've experienced. So you can't refute what I'm saying because it's my experience. Is it different than Bo's? Hell yeah, completely different. But there's something there, like, from doing it and knowing that what it takes to, like, my rookie year was hard, but I also had a couple really hard years middle of my career that were even more challenging than my rookie year when I'm supposed to know this stuff. And that's this game. It's just going to ebb and flow. But if you can get that consistency, and with an organization like the Broncos, I always think back to, like, Mr. Bolin, like 300 wins in 30 years. Like, that's 10 a year average. Like, they had the formula. Amazing. The new ownership, they haven't changed anything. They're bringing the people in that they feel is right. Now it's on the players. Rod Smith would say it all the time. Hey, guys, look at the parking lot. And we'd all turn and look. He's like, those are all Mr. Bolin's cars. And we're like, no, that's my car. And like, no, Mr. Bolin paid for that. He paid you and you bought that car. Step up today. And it's like, oh, that's right. Your boss, the owners, the organization Does it mean something to you? Do you care? Do you want to be remembered? Then go do your job. Let's do it.
It sounds like this year's Broncos team needs like a Rod Smith or somebody like that.
That's what's,
you know,
I feel that's what's missing, like a true veteran that's done it. And I know they're a young team but that's the fun part. We get to watch and witness who are those, what guy is going to step up and finally just say like, yo, coaches, get out of here. We need a team meeting, players only. And like, who are those guys going to be that demand it, that risk their neck, put it out there to call the rest of everybody out, but then not only say the words, they go back it up on the field. We had Al Wilson, John Lynch. We had a bunch of amazing dudes that if they spoke, you were like, oh, yeah, Tommy Nayland's getting it done every single week. His grade is damn near perfect every week. If he says, let's go, we better all pick it up, right? And you've got a rookie. Let's try to all do a little bit better. Not like way better than you've ever done in your life, but just everybody a little bit better.
I noticed with Bo, sometimes like when it's like end of game situation or like 2-minute drill and he's just out there playing the game that he's played his whole life, things tend to open up or it's like a little bit easier. He's not thinking as much. Is there a way to like tap into that like in different parts of the game, not just those end of game situations?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. It's a great question. It makes me think back to my second year, that year in '98 with the Arizona Cardinals. We were struggling early. Our offense wasn't moving. Mark Trestman was our offensive coordinator. He'd come from San Fran, Bill Walsh, the West Coast. Beautiful offense. What a fun offense to run. Very complex in certain ways, but very simple in others. And so halfway through the year, we just were not getting it done. And we'd had some success in the no huddle, like just calling plays really fast. And so we went completely no huddle for 8 games. We'd run some huddle as the games were going and maybe if we were winning, but if not, he was on the headset, play was coming in before 20 seconds. I was calling it at the line of scrimmage and we were snapping the ball. There was no time to think, well, let's run this play. Well, wait, data says on Thursday nights when the barometer is at this, that the play is only 30% successful. We might not want to. No, he was calling plays off the top of his head. Man, it was amazing. I was calling the complete play, the receiver flanker drive, X post, flanker drive, X post, set hut. And the defense was like, wait a second. And it was amazing because we didn't have time to, like you said, to overthink things or like get nervous about the play. And it was more reaction. And that's like, I like to say my playing style and Peyton. Peyton was not, he was great at reaction because he was on it, but he also was moving things around on the field. Like he was dictating what stuff was happening. He was shifting and moving stuff and like so smart in the game. I knew the game, but I wasn't a genius in the game. I was more reactionary. So like, yeah, the play's coming. Oh no, the guy's there. What do I do now? Make him miss, roll to my left and wing one sidearm 30 yards. That's not in the playbook. But that's playing ball. That's recess. That's why we love football, right? And so I that may be a solution. Just try it. Start a quarter and just go, we're going to go no huddle this entire quarter. Even if we go 3 and out, defense, get ready. You may have to go out there a bunch. But that's good for them too. Get your ass in shape.
Just get a spark. Get something going.
But if that no huddle sometimes can take all the guesswork out. You just are going, you're shuffling guys in, you're flowing. The defense is on their heels, especially here when the elevation. No huddle here, start the game, roll the first half. If you're not doing well, go in at halftime, and now coaches that are so amazing and so smart and know everything, make the adjustments. But if it's going well, hey, that could be something they might want to experiment with. And then no huddle and 2-minute drills become nothing because the plays that are working. Bo knows them and he can call them, and it's just, there's a lot of positives there.
Yeah, and it does seem like he has some of that athleticism too. Maybe not you, but like he's got some. He can move around a little bit.
He's an athlete, man. I've heard some stuff about him. Being a really good basketball player, and if you play basketball, to me, that's a sign that you're a good athlete. And like, I think he's really athletic. I mean, he's quicker. He's really quick, and quickness in this game is super important because look at Mahomes. Mahomes ain't going to flatter you with a 40 time, but his quick twitch movements, like his ability to just move the hip 3 inches and make that guy barely get a finger on him instead of getting his whole hand. Like Bo has that. I see it. He's very athletic and he's got a great arm. Now it's just, hey, you're going to make some mistakes, man. And learn from them if you can, but let them go as soon as you made them and get ready for the next opportunity.
I can see behind you. You believe in Bo. You're a Bo lever.
I'm a Bo lever. I had that up for Nate Jackson has a podcast, so I put that up, and I was like, I'm going to leave that because I think people need to know it's better to believe in Bo than to like not. And that energy and that feeling, he's going to feel that. And so, yeah, let's be patient, but let's also understand, it's not just Bo underperforming and can play better. It's the entire whole set can do better. And it isn't much. It's not like they have to reinvent the wheel and change everything. It's just, like I said, just everybody do that little bit extra. It's like when your starter goes down, naturally, without even trying, everybody raises their game. Why? Because they know their starter's out. So it's just something similar to that. Like everybody, don't go overboard, but just everybody try to do a little bit better. And, hopefully start making some plays. Hopefully start making those catches. Hopefully start making those plays like Geno Smith and Lockett made that one-hand grab. It was amazing. He barely missed the defender, made a one-handed grab, game's over. Like, let's get some of that going here, guys. You're paid. You're athletes. You've been waiting for this opportunity. Go do it. And then we can share it and meme it and talk about it all week about what a great athlete and big player maker you are. But it'll happen. Big plays are so strange. They're just going to happen. You can't keep forcing it and trying. It's just at one point the dam breaks and now all of a sudden, all right. It's just that effort and that little bit extra.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you very much, Jake. Okay, I got Phil's Phive. That's this segment that we call this.
Sweet.
It's some fast questions here for you. The first one is who's the best teammate you ever played with?
Oh man, I'm gonna go back to early in my pro career and say Larry Sinners.
Okay,
man, he was awesome with the Cardinals, fullback. He believed in me and gave me confidence, but. LC, but I had so many great players. I could go on and on, but it's quick five, so I'll just stick with Larry Sinners.
Okay, it's usually five. I had one extra that I wanted to get from you, but okay. The best team you ever played on?
Man, that 05 Broncos team was we were good. We had an amazing squad, and it had the other tied for first best teammate I ever had, Rod Smith. So I got Rod in there. Other than my Rose Bowl ASU, my senior year, I mean, that team was super special just because college and all, but like the best team, like I think I would put us up against anybody right now back in that year of 05, we were good.
You were rolling. Yeah, that team was awesome, man. Yeah, that was such a good team. The defense too. I mean, just so many guys on that squad.
Big time.
Who's your favorite player growing up?
Walter Payton. Yeah, man, sweetness. Loved watching that guy. Small guy, just powerhouse, broke tackles, played like he loved the game, carried the ball one-handed when you're supposed to three-point it and tuck it and two-hand. And like before the robots came into creation and the guy played ball, he played football, man. Like that guy was fun to watch. So Walter Payton for sure. Joe Montana, of course, is one of my other favorites.
There's a certain part of that to your game too that was just a little like on the edge, like it's a little bit of an art to it, that kind of thing,
I mean, it was the will and the desire to make a play. I wanted every play to go right. I wanted every play to work, which is why sometimes I probably should have thrown the ball out of bounds, but I was just an eternal optimist, man. I wanted to try to make it right.
Best player you ever faced?
Ooh, man. Played against some phenomenal football players. It's hard to pick just one out of the numerous Hall of Famers. I'll say two real quick. My favorite guys to play against that were super fun, respected you if you brought it, and were a couple of the best in the entire game ever. And that's Junior Seau and Ray Lewis.
Oh,
Super fun to play against those guys. And anytime I got a chance to play against Dion, which I did, that was fun too, because I'm going to throw at him, because if he's the best that there ever was and I complete a ball on him, well, I got to sit with that. I got to hold that in my back pocket.
Yeah, you can.
Doesn't make me the best, but it just means I completed a ball on the best, which I'm all right with that.
Do you have a favorite play from your career? Just like one specific play?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of great plays. I love booting out, anytime booting out, but I loved in Denver, we started running a lot of our boots. We would run the boot to the weak side, and Rod would run a little 18-yard. Usually he'd run a 22-yard comeback if it was just called boot left. But if we said boot left X go, he would go to 18, stutter, and then take off. And I was really good at throwing on the run, and I could throw long, on the run too, accurately. So Kubiak knew that, and he started calling that play, and man, we killed some people with that. That was fun, because no one expects a quarterback to roll to his left and throw the ball 50 yards downfield on a bomb and do it accurately. And so those were always when it worked, oh man, that's one of the greatest feelings of all time.
Sometimes when you got special guys, like you and Rod, you can do some of those awesome things.
Other than that play, any handoff to a good running back was one of my favorite plays, man, because then it's out of my hands. You go get the yardage.
You go do it.
Because, hey, man, it's stressful back there, those pass plays come in and it's 3rd and 12 and it's all on you to go through the progression, and it's that's a lot, man. So I won't say many other pass plays other than booting out, and then my others is handing it to Reuben Drones. Reuben, go get 4. Thanks, brother.
And the last one I have for you here, you kind of went over some of these earlier in the interview, but the best lesson a coach ever taught you.
Man, you're getting granular on some things that are very massive, and
I'm going deep.
So many philosophies come to mind, but one of my favorite coaches ever was Jeep Christ down in Arizona, and he was my quarterback coach. And he had us when we first came in, new team. He had us go and meet somebody new on the team that you didn't know, and just get to know them. And that had to be someone other than a lineman or someone in your room with you. Go meet a defensive guy, get to know him, and then come back and report on that. And what that taught me was get to know your teammates, especially as a quarterback, because we're going to look at Bo and go, oh, Bo's not playing bad. We're losing. Bo's not playing bad. And then it's we're winning. Oh, Bo's the best ever. He's the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. And we're going to get all that blame. We're going to get way too much praise. But when you know your teammates and you have them and you have their confidence and they know that you care about them to the point where you can understand maybe what these guys are going through when they go home, if they're dealing with a loved one that may be going through some health issues, or maybe in an unstable relationship, or their dog maybe had to get put to sleep. We're human too, right? Mm-hmm. We're also human. So he taught me to be very in touch with my players and my teammates. I already was, but he taught us at a different level to really go learn and meet these guys and meet them where they're at, so that they know, even though I'm the quarterback and I'm here, number 16, getting all this money and all this praise, they know that I know where it's really coming from. And that's the guys around me that are doing the work with me, that are raising me up to be able to say, hey, all right, we're winning, but know that it's those guys in that locker room. So that's one of my best philosophies. Also, the more you can do. Play quarterback, but I held also. I love to hold for Jason Elam. Yep. If I needed to throw balls for guys, the more you can do. Know your role, do it well, but if there's more that you can do, then do that, because that's how teams succeed and excel.
Yeah, that's I think back to Peyton Manning in the cafeteria. He used to sit at everybody's different table, every day, just get to know these guys a little bit.
And even awesome. Get to know the people in the building. Yeah. They can't just see you and see you walk by. When they're there every day and they're running the marketing campaign that's blowing you up, like stop in and say hi to them. Get to know who these people are that are behind the scenes running this multi-billion-dollar organization that you're the face of. And that'll work wonders for you, because sometimes when it's not going well, you can go up there and, I used to go up and talk to Pam Papsdorf. And she was always so happy to see me, even if I threw 3 picks and we lost. She didn't care. She's going to give me a hug and say, hey, how are you doing? Because there's those relationships, and that's where, a young kid like that can learn to, you don't go do it with a prescription given down to you by a guru or somebody. You go do it from your heart. You go in those doors. You go get to know that building, but mostly you got to know those players around you, man. Those guys are your bread and butter. That's what's going to help you.
Be real. Be real. Okay, I love it. Okay, the last thing for you here, Jake, I appreciate your time, is a career advice segment here. What would you say to a guy who is maybe about to retire, maybe this is their last year, or, hey, this is their first fall. You talk about the coolness in the air and just wanting to be outside, and it's fall time. You got to be missing football maybe if it's your first year away from the league. What's some career advice? Because I know you've dabbled in a lot of different things. You did some broadcasting. You're an entrepreneur. What advice would you give to somebody?
That's hard. I mean, for me, it was, I wanted to get away from the game. I'd been immersed in football for so long that I didn't even watch football. I didn't even in fact, I tried to watch the Super Bowl with Eli Manning and the Giants, and then I was doing something, so I pushed record and I didn't add the 30-minute extension. So I missed the final drive, and I was like, man, that was like the end all. I was done with watching football. I was so mad. And then Marcus Mariota started balling for the Ducks, and I was like watching his style, and I'm seeing the evolution of the game, and I'm going, whoa, I would love to play in this offense. And I kind of came back. So I think the best advice I could give was during your playing days, you're forced to be hyper-focused on now and what you're doing as a Bronco or whatever team you're on. Don't be afraid to dabble in a few things, and don't be afraid to be uncomfortable, and don't be afraid to go in that door. And as soon as you open it, there's 30 people, 60 eyeballs on you going, oh, that's Jake Plummer. Don't worry. Go in there and go do those things that you may feel really uncomfortable doing, because you don't know what doors will open out from that. And it's hard. It's hard to find anything that can compare to what I did on the field on Sundays and coming out of that tunnel. There's really nothing. Mm-hmm. There's nothing at all that can compare to that feeling. But know, you're special. You have talent. You can set your mind to something, and you can build the team around you, and you can accomplish anything post-career that you want to, because why? You already did it to get to the level you got to play in the NFL. And sometimes it doesn't end well. You're cut and you feel you should be playing, but you don't get picked up. So it's a little sour. Don't think of that. Think of the beauty of what you got the opportunity to do. And no matter what I do, Phil, for the rest of my life, that NFL badge is going to walk in the door in front of me. Mm-hmm. No matter what. If I'm talking to an old folks home, if I'm going out to Mars, they're going to know that I played in the NFL. It's going to be what precedes you no matter where you go. So know that, and that carries something that carries an ability to open doors, to get people to believe, to oh wow, you did that work. And so guys just got to find their path, and sometimes it's hard. It took me a while, having kids and even all that. I still felt times of down low and depressed and what can I do, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden now I'm into this, working with functional mushrooms and helping people heal and finding different paths to wellness. And it's oh, maybe all that football was just to get me to right now, and all those struggles are to get you to right here. So leave the doors open. Never say never. I never was going to be on TV doing studio work, and then I found myself working for the Pac-12. So don't say never to anything. Don't say you're never going to do this or that, because that jumping into that may open a door that now you never knew the next door was there for you. And so, take a break too. Go travel. The world is beautiful. Go see the world. You got money, you got some time. Football's always going to be there. In 40 years, they're going to be playing football. So if you want to get back into coaching, it's always going to be there. But go out and find yourself. Remember who you were before you became famous, before you became the icon or the face of this place. Go remember that 12-year-old kid. Go find those things that he liked to do and go start doing them. and things can get better.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate that advice. I think that's going to mean a lot to a lot of people. So
I
I
hope so.
appreciate that. And thanks for all your comments today, Jake. I'm glad to see you're doing so well and doing so healthy, and awesome to spend some time and catch up with you.
Of course, Phil. Thanks for reaching out, man. I'm always open to share and talk Broncos, and I just hope they start playing harder and winning and showing some love, some blood, and some flow and some life out there. And I think it's going to happen. I got faith.
My thanks to Jake Plummer. I really enjoyed that conversation with the Broncos legend there. He's lived it. He knows what it's like to be a rookie quarterback in the NFL, and I think he gave some great perspective on maybe some of the things that Bo Nix is going through. And look, it's been a tough couple of weeks. I think that coming off of that preseason, everybody was so high on him, and this has not gone according to plan. So we'll have to see if things improve this week. I think that after the preseason, if I told you, hey, through 2 games, Bo Nix didn't have a touchdown pass, you would be concerned. And, I think that Sean Payton's got to do a better job of letting Bo use his athleticism, maybe put him in some of these positions where he's got to make one read. Hey, if this guy does this, I'm doing this. If this guy does that, I'm doing that. And if that's not there, pull the ball down and take off and let Bo get some confidence early in the game. Some easy plays here. Maybe just a couple of things where he's able to use his legs, get him rolling out of the pocket. That'll help evade the pass rush a little bit. They're going to have to do something to help that offensive line, whether it's a commitment to running the football or like I talked about with Jake going no huddle, hurry up. They're going to have to do some things to help the offensive line this weekend and help Bo not get beat up. So, hey, maybe design some of these things early in the game, and that'll help Bo get his confidence up, help the whole offense get their confidence up, and and then see what happens. But this is going to be a tough test against the Buccaneers on the road again. This is a good defense, and the Broncos will have their hands full. So hopefully they had a good week of practice. Let's get into this week's bourbon and the nightcap. Tonight we'll be talking about Larceny. This is a small batch bourbon, 92 proof from Heaven Hill. Kind of a coppery color, kind of a darker color here on the bourbon. And if you read in the back here, it alludes to John E. Fitzgerald. And that's because Heaven Hill acquired this bourbon from Old Fitzgerald brand in 1999. And they tell this story about John E. Fitzgerald. Apparently, he was a U.S. Treasury agent who enjoyed sampling some of the bourbon that was in the barrels. And so he'd go around and then, he'd pull some of the whiskey out of the barrels. And then when they went to blend, some of the barrels would be a little lighter. John E. Fitzgerald. So they tell that little story here on the back here. But this is a bourbon I'm interested to get into because it is wheated. I'll tell you the mash bill here. 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley, so no rye here. So that's definitely going to change the flavor profile compared to a regular bourbon, which will have some rye. So I'm wondering if maybe not quite as much spice maybe on this one. So let me pop this bad boy open. I have my rocks glass here, my Broncos rocks glass. And then we'll pour this one here. Nobody commented in the comments. I'm very interested. Do you guys like to use rocks, and do you like to let your bourbon breathe a little bit? That's what I'm interested in here. So, yeah, a copper color here, and let me get a little nose. Yeah, picking up maybe on some peach, some honey. On the website, on Heaven Hill's website, they said the nose is like fresh bread. Maybe. I mean, I'm not really into that where you're coming up with fresh can of tennis balls like that movie Psalm. But I enjoy it. It smells sort of sweet. It smells nice. Let's get into it here. It's very light. That's what I would say. It's light, easy to drink. Let me do another one here as my palate gets used to the alcohol. Yeah, it's a little bit sweet. Honey, definitely. Maybe a little bit of brown sugar, and then the finish is it's pretty balanced. It's like medium length, I would say. And at 92 proof, I think this is a nice crowd pleaser. Definitely a little bit interesting, just because it is a wheated bourbon, and yeah, I enjoyed that. That's a nice one. Larceny, great price point on this one, under $30, and like I've mentioned, nobody's paying me to review these, so I'm just picking these bottles to help you. It's the weekend. You're gonna watch some football. If you're watching the Broncos, you might need this, and yeah, I think it's very approachable. It's a crowd pleaser, and certainly if you aren't like super into bourbon, this maybe is a good bottle to try out the next time you're picking out a bottle. And as always, drink responsibly. And I think that's going to do it for this week's show. So my thanks to Jake Plummer again. Make sure you go out and check out what he's doing with the mushrooms there. Very cool. I think that mushrooms has like obviously this stigma, but if you listen to the way Jake talks about it, it is something that he believes could be very helpful, and it could do some good things for some people. So make sure you check that out. I'll tag that in a lot of the social stuff. So, and please, if you enjoy this show, please like and subscribe, on the YouTube page here. It does go a long way, and I do appreciate it. So if you're enjoying the content, please show some of the love here, and also leave a comment. Let me know what you think about what Jake said. Let me know what you think about the bourbon review here, and any kind of Broncos talk at all. And I'll respond to them. I like mixing it up. So that is going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much. I am Phil Milani. Appreciate you checking out Broncos and Bourbon.